Listen to this podcast now on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Why is the middle class shrinking? Why are people facing an affordability crisis while marginalized individuals called informals grow in numbers? Join me as I travel the world, speaking with people living in invisibility, the leaders working to solve it, and uncovering the hard truths shaping our economy and daily reality.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
Joining us right now, former governor. He can talk about a whole bunch of stuff. He's actually a Met fan. I got to 1 million Met games with Governor David Paterson, but I guess he's got memories of John Sterling. Mr. Governor, how are you?
Well, you know, Sid, John Sterling's history, I don't think it's really known to a lot of people. Back in the 60s, when AM radio was mostly music, the two stations that would compete were WABC and WMCA. But WABC had Bruce Morrow and they had Herb Oscar Anderson and all these other people, and they just dwarfed WMCA. So what the WMCA tried to do is to become a talk station. And what they needed to complete the roster of air personalities is they didn't have a sports person, so they took the music DJ Jack Spector and tried to make him a talk radio host.
Sports guy, right?
Sports.
Yeah.
And he was very friendly and very good, but he didn't really know that much about sports. So they moved him out, and they brought in this guy named John Sterling. And I really liked him. And one of the things I remember about him that changed his life, and I reminded him of this about 3 or 4 months ago, was he was doing a show in 1972. Now, remember, 1972 would be a presidential election year. And there was a news bulletin that Governor George Wallace of Alabama had been shot while campaigning. He was trying to run for president. Sterling completely flipped right out of sports and started talking about violence and how people have no respect for each other. And, of course, this is the era of the Kennedy brothers being killed and Martin Luther King and Wallace survived his shooting. But I think the powers that be at WMCA realized that Sterling could do regular news or regular talk radio, not just sports. And I think that's what really catapulted him. And then, you know, when the Yankees were on that station, they heard him. And then I didn't realize he didn't get to the Yankees till 1989. I thought it was sooner. But he was really quite a force. And I saw him in our studio just a couple of months ago. So it's very sad to hear this news.
Oh, you did. He was in these studios a couple of months ago. I haven't seen John since last year because, as I pointed out earlier, to be completely honest, he reached out to me to speak on his behalf to Chad and John to try to convince them to hire him here. But I didn't need to convince them, to John's credit. He was on earlier, Katsimatidis and Chad. And Chad and Sterling got along great. They got along great. Chad did a great job with that. But I did kind of intervene to try to help John out. He was on my shows on WFAN quite a bit. I remember going many opening days to Yankee Stadium with Jody Mack and Beningo and the whole crew. And he'd be wearing that Yankee scarf. He loved that scarf. And I just thought he was terrific, you know. And I didn't know about all these other stories, but, you know, the fact that he was able to do that, Governor Paterson, and talk sports and news and politics is not a surprise because many, many times at Yankee Stadium before the first pitch, I'd have conversations with John, and they were not about baseball. So I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, no, his latitude, his ability to talk about almost any subject was amazing. And I was fortunate enough to get to know him a little bit right here in this last year of his life. And he gave me a big compliment on his show that he would do at 4 o'clock when I was doing the left versus the right at 3 o'clock. And I have it on my phone, and I don't think I'll ever erase it.
That's awesome. And you're a Met fan, you know, and I used to be a Met fan, of course, until about 2 weeks ago. And ironically, I've got Jim Leyritz coming into the studio in the next 15 minutes. I'll be at the Yankee game again with Randy tonight. Randy has become my best friend, Randy Levine. We text almost every day. I'm in his suite now every couple of days. And, you know, I just think the Yankees are a better organization. I spoke to Steve Cohen. Cohen and I had a great conversation. He was terrific. He really was. He called me, the Met owner. And we sat on the phone for about 20 minutes. In fact, I'm going to go with Bill O'Reilly to the Met-Yankee game on May the 15th in Queens. And Steve Cohen said, you're going to sit with me. And I said, I'm honored. So I'm going to sit with Steve Cohen for that game. So it's nice to kind of have both teams on my side here. But I just don't like what I'm seeing from the Mets, Governor. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're 11-22. Nothing to do with that.
Well, I am a Met fan, and the way you would know is that I wear a mask.
Ha, ha, ha. It's embarrassing, right? But again, it's not about the wins and losses. They did just win the weekend series against the Angels, but you know, the whole Mamdani thing with Mr. and Mrs. Met, not Cohen's fault, but couldn't stand it. The way Gary Cohen spoke about Charlie Kirk and that Chicago Cub player, he actually called him out for missing one meaningless game for going to Charlie Kirk's funeral. You know, the fact that there is no Jewish Heritage Night, I don't care that it was canceled in 2023. Since they canceled that night, something in 2023 called October the 7th happened. And Steve Cohen admitted to me that the biggest percentage of his fan base is probably Jewish people. So, and Lindor's a bad guy. His wife worked for Mamdani during the whole transition period. I mean, I can give you 10 reasons why, Governor Paterson, being a Met fan these days, no thanks, and has nothing to do with the bad action on the field.
Yeah, and the bad action on the field gets worse. Not last night, but the night before, they have the bases loaded twice and couldn't score a runner from second in extra innings. And bases loaded, no outs, and couldn't score any runs. That was it for me.
Yeah, they lost 4-3, yeah. But what about all these other stories that I'm attaching to the Mets? I mean, look, Governor Paterson, you listen to me every day and your lovely wife. I make no bones about it. I don't speak nicely. I speak like a Brooklyn guy. I hate Mamdani. I hate him. Oh, that's a strong word. Tough. That's how I feel about him.
I would never have been able to have noticed that, Sid. I just wouldn't have known that. You're
I got to tell you,
a friendly guy, no matter who it is that you're talking to.
I am. You know, you and I get along great. We have great times together. I'm generally a pretty good guy. So when I heard this story this weekend that people are upset, that tensions are escalating because Mamdani's not going to the Israeli Day parade, why? If I'm a Jew, and I am a Jew, he's the last person I want there, no?
Yeah, well, you would think that the mayor would recognize all the different ethnicities in the city.
Well, just to make your point there, that parade started in 1964. You're a student of history. The mayor was Wagner then. He went to the parade, and every mayor has gone, every one since.
Ever since. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's disgraceful.
It is. What are your thoughts on Bruce Blakeman's chances of beating Hochul? I mean, realistically, you were the governor, and you were a good one, really a very good one, and you got screwed talking about baseball or baseball tickets, which is ridiculous.
Yes, exactly.
You should. What do you think of Bruce Blakeman's run against Kathy Hochul?
Well, outside of government, Bruce Blakeman and I are friends, and so I try to be objective about him. I think that there have been situations that he didn't react quickly enough. For instance, when the officer threw the what was that thing, the cooler, and hit and killed the guy who he was pursuing, people came out right away and talked about it, and it took Blakeman like 48 hours to say that if he was governor, he would pardon the officer.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. But the competition, the wretched woman in charge right now, still hasn't said it. So he may have been 48 hours late. She still hasn't said it.
Oh, no, Sid, I totally understand that. I totally agree with you. But the problem is he's the one that's trying to unseat her. So you've got to throw the first punch. You can't look like you're responding after anyone else did. And in her case, people probably wouldn't have known whether she said anything or not until you just pointed it out. But I'm just saying that I think maybe as time goes on and he gets more comfortable, and if they raise enough money, it'll be a competitive race. But I think he's got his work cut out for him.
That's fair to say. And, you know, there's already people that have asked me to run for mayor. I know you know this, Governor Paterson. Serious people. Lara Trump on this show endorsing me, Bruce Blakeman.
I don't think you should run for mayor. I think we should have an hand-to-hand combat in front of City Hall And when we throw all those people out, you should take over.
Well, you're
And
the
I'll
guy.
be your PR
Wait a second, Governor Paterson. You're the guy that kicked ass in the streets and actually saved your son's life, which is a great moment for you and a beautiful moment. But I wasn't talking about me necessarily running. I probably won't. Everybody keeps telling me the same thing. Sid, you may be the most powerful man in this city without serving office. You got that bully pulpit 4 hours a morning. Why would you waste your time having to deal with the city council and legislators and the governor and all that stuff? And they may be right, but I guess the question to you is, if you're the Republicans, you're Ed Cox, whoever you are in this party here in New York State, when do you start to really take this seriously? Because, again, quite frankly, Curtis Sliwa, joke, okay? We need a real candidate this time around. Somebody's going to get more than 7% or 14%. When do the Republicans start taking that race seriously?
Well, I'll tell you what, Sid. If there is a good candidate for the Republicans, I guarantee you Ed Cox will find him. He works at this all the time. He's quite a gentleman when you talk to him, but he really wants to change a lot of things. And, I was the Democratic chair when he was the Republican chair. We actually got along. So I think the issues that come up are going to direct how people vote this year more than the personality.
In this 25th anniversary year of September 11th, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation continues to honor America's heroes. Heroes like Fire Lieutenant Michael Wells, who was inspired by 9/11 to serve his community. After 14 dedicated years of service, he lost his battle with occupational cancer, leaving behind his wife, Katie, and their 3 children. Tunnel to Towers honored Lieutenant Wells by paying off the family's mortgage in recognition of his sacrifices. Donate $11 monthly and amplify your impact with a car or land donation. Go to T2T.org.